paper, I thought it wise that it will be important for us to at least have some background understanding of what research is, what entails research. I think after understanding what research is, what it entails, that one will give us at least the baseline information following how to structure proper manuscript for publication. So before I start, I want this session to also be interactive. It shouldn't be one-way-sided. So let me begin with this question. Briefly, can someone tell us what research is? Yeah, I want it to be interactive. So moderator, let's take at least one or two responses, then we continue. What research is?
And you can use the emoji by showing of hands if you want to contribute.
Yeah. So I just want to, we just want to have understanding, a basic understanding, not too technical, at least basically when we say research, what does it mean? Or when you hear the word research as a student, what comes to your mind? Let's share our ideas. Yeah, even though I have the opportunity to be facilitating this session, but I don't think I know it better than anyone here. Yeah, we are only sharing the little we know. Yeah, so if someone can.
Yeah, I can just give
just
a brief.
Volunteer to tell us what research is, then we just proceed.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
I am Idris Akuma. Considering the idea that I have about research, I think research is a creation of new knowledge and or the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodology, and understanding.
All right. That's wonderful. I like your definition and it's very interesting. Can we have last one so that we just proceed? Let's get different perspectives of research. Can someone try?
Yeah, hello.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, research simply, in simple terms, is finding an answer to an unknown. Like you finding a solution to an unknown problem.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. I think all what you said is explains a research. All right. So basically, when we say research, it's a careful consideration of study regarding a particular concern or problem using scientific method. So here the underlying word is scientific method, because with scientific method, whatever research you undertake, it can be replicated. Someone can follow the procedure you use to conduct research and also come out with similar findings. Research has also been defined to be a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control an observed phenomena. So it involves inductive and deductive methods. So basically, this is what research is. So let's take a research. It means hello, can I be heard?
Yes,
Yes,
Doc.
I can hear you.
Though the line is somehow.
Am I audible?
We lost you for a moment, but I think it's okay now.
All right, thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, it presupposes that before you start your research, you should have a tentative topic, and the topic tells us or tells everyone about what your study is all about. So it follows scientific investigation principles. Also, a very good research the collection of things or facts as well. Then after collecting the data will not speak for itself. You need to analyze the data so that we can see trends, so that you'll be able to discuss it in line with your research. Is that it involves the dissemination of results. That is the report writing. And that is the focus of our discussions today. Now, after your report writing and your manuscript or your research output has been published. Hello?
We are not seeing the PPT.
Really? Okay, let me check. Please, can it be seen now?
Yes, it's okay.
All right, thank you. So as I was saying, as part of the features or characteristics of research, it involves collection of data, analysis of data, dissemination of the result or the research outputs. Then finally, it also involves the meaningful use of the research outputs. So when you publish your paper, others can also have access to it. Okay. How can I hide this? Okay. So now let's look at the purpose of research. Yeah. So we have different reasons why we conduct research. I think we being here, I think everyone here is a researcher one way or the other. So if I may ask, why do you conduct research? Can someone share with us briefly, why do we conduct research? They say in academia, if you don't publish, you perish, right? For you to publish, it presupposes that you need to undertake a research, then you write your article or manuscript and publish afterwards. But why do we all undertake research? Why is it important? So when conducting research, what do we focus on? Can someone share with us? Yeah. Any contribution? All right, let's proceed as suggestions come along. All right, so there are three basic reasons why we do conduct research. Number one is to explore a particular phenomena or questions that needs some findings for people to understand what is going on. So number one, the main purpose of conducting research is to explore a particular phenomena. Then we also have to describe or descriptive research. So we undertake this in order to expand knowledge on current issues through a process of data collection. So this primarily has three stages, or it involves three components. Number one, describing, explaining, and validating the findings of a particular research. Last but not the least, we also undertake research to explain a particular phenomena, which is also called causal research or causal research. So it is conducted to understand the impact of a specific changes in existing standard or procedure. So a basic example of this type of research is experimental research, where we undertake experiments in order to have some findings. Now let's look at the stages of research methodology. So conducting research is a process. It has input and output. You need to begin with some points, then you also end up with some output. So number one, it involves the first step has to do with formulating and clarifying a topic. It's very important. You should know what you are researching based on your field of study. If you're in environment, if you're in the medicine, if you're in management science, irrespective of your study area. And also, after finding a topic, you need to review literature. I think time will not permit us for us to go into details of literature review. I think in a different seminar, I think we can focus much about how to conduct a thorough literature review. So through conducting of literature review, you are able, as far as the topic you have chosen is concerned, you are able to know what other researchers, what previous research findings, you're able to know what has been done in that gap. Okay, so that is the gap. That's what we call the research gap. The research gap is basically the gap between the findings or what has been done by previous researchers and what you think has not been done and need attention and need to be studied in order to come out with those findings. Another step after this is the research design. So after identifying your research gap, then you design your research in order to fill the gap. This will be followed by data collection, data analysis, and a report writing. Good. So now let's look at the factors to consider in conducting a research. Number one, when conducting research, you should be aware of impact of personal feelings. In conducting research, you should be objective. You should report what you see. You shouldn't be biased. To massage the data, you have to be objective and personal feelings in your research. You should also be aware of access to the accessibility to data. There are some research that if you are not careful, you waste a lot of time by the time you realize, especially those of us doing our master's or PhD. If you don't choose a topic that can help you or enable you to get easy access to data, not just easy, but I mean, given the time frame, you will be able to get enough data to write your thesis or your publication. So limited information is important. So you should be aware of this as well. Time and other resources, as I made mention, when conducting research, you need resources, you need equipment, especially experimental research. You need reagents. You need to conduct some, characterizations. You need, sometimes you even need to send your samples to other companies for them to run some analysis for you. It involves money, it involves time. So you should be aware about all this. When you are conducting, even when you are writing proposal, whether for thesis or what have you, you have to also bear in mind about these factors. Validity and reliability, they are very important. Ethical issues also need to be considered. All right, so in summary, this is the process, okay, the research process. As I said, it has inputs and outputs. In other words, it has beginning and it has an end, okay? So this is the linear method. We have other, methods, but this is the linear representation of the research process. So as we indicated, it begins with defining a problem, specifying the research question or the hypothesis, designing the research. So it involves data unit for the study, data collection, analysis, and report writing. So this reduction. So before I move to the second section, which is effective structuring of a scientific paper, I don't know if someone has a question. So at least at this moment, we have research, the characteristics of, and also the processes of research methodology, what's to consider, and also some factors one need to consider whilst undertaking research. We have also discussed about this. So at least at this moment, we have basic understanding of what research is. So when we are to discuss the scientific paper, at least we have a background to that. Thank you. So if anyone has a question, contribution, we can take some few minutes for that before we proceed. So moderator.
Yeah, doctor, thank you. So we'll take 10 minutes for questions and answers.
Okay.
If anyone have a question, then you can signify.
I have a question.
All right. Okay. All right.
You can go on.
You can ask.
Okay. My question will center around exploratory research. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So imagine one is embarking on an exploratory research, and one of the methods used to collect primary data is semi-structured interview. And in the process, after in your interview process, you tell your participants that, okay, whatever they would say, they will not be referenced in your research. And in your analysis of data, you tend to just maybe do theme saturation and without referencing them and without bringing them to light in your research. What's your take on that? Is it a best practice, or there is another way to go about that?
All right. Thank you very much for your question. If I understand your question well, you are trying to understand about exploratory research, which falls under the three main purposes of conducting research. We made mention of explanatory, exploratory, and descriptive, right? So your focus is on the exploratory. And also on the exploratory, you kind of, yes, you said semi-structured interview or questionnaire, right? Yeah, so this is a methodology.
Semi-structured interview.
Which is mostly used in there. So, come again. Semi-structured interview, right? Okay.
You are using a semi-structured interview.
Okay, so semi-structured interview. If I'm not mistaken, it is a tool or a method in conducting research, especially in the social sciences, right? Even though I am from the science and engineering background, but at least I have some little experience in that. And whilst social science research is concerned, or generally, we also made mention of ethics. Okay, you should be aware of ethics. And one of the ethics of research, especially when it deals with human beings, has to do with confidentiality. So before you conduct an interview, you need to assure the participant or the respondent or the interviewees about the confidential use of the data you are collecting from them for research purpose and not for profit gains or something like that. All right. So after collecting your data through the interview or the question or whatever method you apply, in your discussion, all right, I think one thing I know about such research is that we have what we call the demography of the respondents, maybe the age of the respondents, we have the sex, and among other demographic categories. So you do not mention names of say, oh, the percentage of looking at the age category, about 80% of those aged between 15 to 30 third days, or they are off days. I hope you understand. So based on my little understanding, so far as ethical research is concerned, or ethics is concerned, and so far as confidentiality is concerned, that interview, okay, you need to assure the respondent or the interviewees about the confidentiality of the research you are conducting. You mention the category by using the, thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, let's proceed as there will be another session for questions and answers. So let's proceed. Okay, so now let's look at effective structuring of a scientific paper. Now we all know what research is. Now, after conducting research, you need to write a report as we indicated earlier on. So this paper you are writing, okay, how do you structure it? You do not just write it like you are writing an essay, or you are writing a letter to your friend, okay? Or you are writing just a mere report of an incident that has happened. No, as we earlier on indicated, research follows specific procedure, laid down procedure, all right? So this session is going to elaborate or highlight or enlighten us more about this specific topic. So the first question is, what is scientific writing? Okay, so now let's look at scientific writing. So scientific writing is a form of technical writing that communicates scientific information clearly and concisely, all right? So after undertaking your research, already the research follows scientific procedure, scientific method through problem identification, design of the research, data collection, data analysis, and report writing. So these are scientific method. Okay, so you have scientific information, all right? So this describes scientific writing. So by putting this technical information that you get from your research or from the study, when you put it together in a systematic order, then it becomes a scientific what? Writing. It is used by scientists, engineers, and researchers to present their work. So when you conduct research, you do not present the work as in the form or way you like. No, it should follow a systematic order. Another point is that scientific writing must be clear and precise. So when I take your scientific writing, I should understand what you mean. I hope you understand. It shouldn't be ambiguous. Use clear language so that anyone who reads your paper, it will be easy for such a person to understand. Also, clarity is essential, especially when presenting new knowledge, because without clarity, people will not understand what you are writing. The aim of writing the paper will not be clear, and it will lead to ambiguity. The intended aim or you will not be able to achieve the objective of the paper through dissemination of the knowledge. For you to disseminate the knowledge, it means anyone who reads your paper should be able to understand. It is when one understands your paper, that is when they are able to pick the information from your paper and also apply it in their field of study. So clarity is essential. Also, avoid literary flair. Focus on factual, straightforward expressions, as I earlier on mentioned. Also, scientific communication must be understood to be useful. As I said earlier on, if you don't understand the scientific write-up, how will you be able to interpret it? How will you be able to analyze it? And how will you be able to put it into use? Therefore, a scientific communication, especially through scientific writing, must be understood properly. Now, why do we need to write scientific papers. In our universities, we write proposals, we conduct experiments. It becomes, or it is, a requirement for graduation, especially in most universities in China here. Without publishing, whether master's or PhD, it becomes difficult for you to be able to, what's the name, graduate. Is that not the case? Or some of you, your university's publication is not important. I know it's about 99.9 of us here. Publication is very important, okay? So why must we write scientific papers? All right, so in the first case, number one, it helps in communicating knowledge, as I earlier on mentioned. The last step of conducting research is the report writing and dissemination of the information, especially through publication. So when you publish your paper, you communicate the result to the outside world. Because when you conduct in the lab mate or your access to your research and also benefit from it. Number two, contributing to research. The method you use, the procedure you use in conducting the research becomes informative. It becomes informative for anyone who reads your article after publication. Last but not the least, it also helps in building academic profile. When you publish a paper, number one, it will help you to meet your graduation requirements. If you are a lecturer, it will also help you in your promotion. You understand? Also, in other fields of our human endeavor, the more you publish, the more your academic profile the more it becomes enriched, right? So publication or scientific writing is very important. Now let's look at the origin of scientific writing. Scientific writing started as far as 1665, all right? So this is the period when the actual scientific write-up and recording or writing of articles actually began. So the structure used to write scientific papers is what is popularly or generally known as the IMRAD, all right? So the I stand for introduction, M stand for methods, R stand for results, D stand for discussion, all right? So the IMRAD structure was developed for what? For clarity. It means every scientific write-up must follow this structure, all right? Then it is important to note that, you know, in the olden days, in prehistoric era, all right, history was passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. In other words, through the storytelling, among others. Later on, various technologies for writing also erupted, all right? So within this period and afterwards, the aftermath of this particular year, that is 1665, then there became the establishment of various printing press, okay, which enabled mass dissemination of what? Of knowledge. People began to record books and what have you, all right? Then we also have communication evolved through oral tradition to digital formats. Yeah, so in the olden days, we only had papers, okay, which we call the hard copies. But with the advent of technology in this industrial revolution, we now have computers and among other recent innovations that has made it easy for us to transmit and disseminate information through various digital platforms. So what is a scientific paper? So that is the next topic of discussion, all right? So a scientific paper is a report of original research result published in a peer-reviewed journal, all right? So what you should know is that we have different or various forms of publication. Now, even through social media, people publish, all right? when you go, I can write something right now and publish it on Facebook. It is a publication, all right? It could be the result of my research. But the question is, if I write my research article and I publish it on my Facebook or any other social media outlet, let me ask the question. Is it a scientific paper? Can someone help me answer this? All right, I conduct my research, write the report, publish it on social media, like let's say Facebook, my Facebook wall, or maybe on Instagram or where have you. Does it become a scientific paper?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Wow, someone said he or she thinks so. Someone also said not at all. So which one do we go by?
It could be.
Which is, it's confusing. You have written your research.
From my end,
you followed
from
all
my
the
end, I
scientific.
think it's not, because it needs to be validated by some experts in those areas that you're writing. Yeah.
Excellent.
The research,
that's important. That is where the peer review comes in. So it means after writing your paper, it doesn't end there. All right. Don't forget, we made mention of validity as one of the characteristics of research, right? So validity is very important. The methods you are using one important feature of people, experienced researchers have already conducted thorough and similar research. So after writing your reports, okay, that is why you send it to the journals and not just your social media outlets. So those journals have editors, they have reviewers who have the technical know-how in the field you are researching. They have conducted similar research before. So you cannot become a reviewer or an editor for a journal and you have never published a paper. You should have the competence in that, okay? So it is important that your work is subjected to vigorous and rigorous scrutiny by other researchers in order to validate, authenticate the report that you have written. Another one, it must also follow, must allow replication and validation by others. So we just talked about it. It must be publicly accessible and permanent, okay? So before something, we can call this paper a scientific paper, it should be accessible. So especially through DOI or the URL. You should be able, that's after publishing your paper, all right? The basic way to share your article is through the DOI or through the references, all right? So anywhere you are, you can just Google it or through the use of any other search engines to access that particular paper. And it should be permanent. It shouldn't be that maybe you are applying for promotion or graduation. Then you write that, oh, in 2021, I published a paper on wastewater treatment. Then it gets to the degree office, then they check online, the paper is not, then you tell them that, oh, maybe the paper is no more online. No, it shouldn't be so. It should be permanent, okay? All right. Then peer review is essential for credibility. I have already mentioned it. Now, let's look at the IMRA structure. We have already mentioned it, but let's look at it in a different way, okay? So the introduction, what does it talk about? So the introduction talks about the problem you are studying. So what problem was studied? So basically, the introduction gives overview of the problem that is being studied. It also involves the, how do we call it? The literature review of that particular field of study. What people have done, all right? What other researchers have done, all right? So far that is concerned. And also the research gap you find, all these should be included in your introduction. The purpose for conducting that research, the aim and objective of that research, it should also be included in the introduction section. Then the methods you use. So which method did you use? So either the method, in other some papers, you see methodology. In some papers, you see materials and methods. For we those in the science and engineering, most often you see materials and methods. Okay, so this section, what does it tell us? Okay, so basically it asks the question, how was it studied? So in the first one is what problem was studied? Then the second one will be how was it studied? So the method, the materials and method you use, the techniques you use to conduct the research, all should be reported under the methods. And also the results. So how it was studied, then what was found after your study, what was found, what were the findings? So you report your findings at the results section. Then the results, just reporting the results is not the end. It's not enough, okay? You need to discuss it into details. So what does the finding mean, all right? You treated wastewater and you realize that the technique you used was able to reduce BOD, all right? From, let's say, 500 milligrams per liter to, let's say, 20 milligrams per liter. So this is the result. So the discussion, what does it mean? What does it tell us so far as the method you use is concerned, or so far as the equipment you use is concerned? So you need to discuss it. And you also need to align it, okay, with past studies. So in discussing, you do not only discuss your result in isolation, you also need to compare it with previous studies in order to identify the efficiency of your system. Now, how to prepare the title? As we indicated earlier on, the title is very important. Before you start preparing your, conducting a research, you need a topic, all right? So it is important when we also discuss the research methodology, the steps for research methodology. The first step is what? Finding a particular topic, okay, or identifying a particular topic. So how do we need to prepare the topic? And the topic is very important, especially in acceptance how to prepare the title. So make it short, specific, and informative. Experienced researchers will tell you that when you are writing, hello, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, and I hope we are all following. All right, thank you very much. All right, so the first step, as I indicated, some experienced researchers will tell you that when you are formulating the topic for your research, it shouldn't be more than 20 words. At least should be less than 20 words. So the shorter it is, the better, because when one reads, when the title is too long, you know, people don't like reading too lengthy terms. And within a glance, okay, within a few seconds, I should be able to read your research topic. Also, avoid filler words like studies on or observations on, because these are generally the research you are conducting is a study, okay? So these are the general or primary words or keywords that you should try and avoid, okay? Even though others still use, but if you can use some more attractive words, you know, now this day now, when you are presenting or submitting your manuscript, sometimes the topic alone can contribute in the rejection or acceptance of your paper. Sometimes you could see a paper when you look at the details of it, but you see the topic is very catchy. You read, you are like, wow, interesting. Let me read it. Immediately you read the topic, you are interested to know what is inside the bag. You want to read into details, what that topic is all about. And there are some topics, so immediately you read them, you'll be like, oh, what is this topic talking about? Okay, so in all, your topic should be mind-boggling. Immediately someone reads your topic, it should be catchy, it should be attractive. And also ensure correct sentence to avoid ambiguity, all right? Use correct grammar, okay? It should be simple as we indicated earlier on. And also do not use abbreviation or jargons, okay? Chemical formulas. That is too technical for people to understand, all right? Okay, so these are some guidelines for preparing your topic. Now let's go to the other aspect of the paper, listing the authors and their affiliations. When you take any scientific paper, you first of all see the topic at the top, and you will also see the name of the journal as well as the name of the publishing house, all right? Whether it is Elsevier, whether it is Springer Nature, whether it is wherever publication house it is, all right? So we are now done with the topic. And when you take any scientific paper, after the topic, below the topic, you now see the names of authors, okay? That is to tell you the authors are those who conducted the research, and they are those who wrote that scientific paper, and they are responsible for it. They came out with the findings. So they are in charge of everything from head to toe, all right? So the list of authors is very important, and their affiliation. So you see author 1, his affiliation is maybe Johnson University. Author 2, the affiliation is maybe Georgia University. The author 3, whatever, irrespective of the affiliation and the name of the person, all right? So one thing you should know is that authors must have contributed significantly. You shouldn't, after conducting research, you just go and write your wife's or your husband's name. Is it ethical? Let me ask this. I don't know. Let me ask about this. Or maybe you are the father after conducting research. Or it's be like, oh, my son is in the secondary school. Let me add his name to my paper. Or you say, oh, maybe Mr. Azuma is my friend. Or so and so is my boyfriend or my girlfriend. Let me just add it. Is that ethical? Let me ask this question. Is that ethical? The person didn't contribute anything to the research, and you just add the person's name. Is that ethical?
Not really. No. It is not.
Yeah.
Because
it's not ethical, right?
You do not contribute anything in the academy.
Who has such experience and who can share his or her experience with us? I saw recently, a few days ago, I saw a publication on social media. I think that is Facebook, where someone was digging a hole, right? And the person was using a shovel to bring out the sand, all right? And they with their arms being folded along their chest, and they were just observing. And it was written on top of them, co-authors, all right? When I saw it, I laughed. So indirectly, maybe you find only one person or few people who actually did the work, and the rest will be added as co-authors, all right? I think some people do this practice, but according to ethical research, that is not encouraged. And also, the first author is typically the main contributor. That is well understood. Avoid honorary authorship or inflated author list. As I indicated, someone is just your friend or your daughter or your brother, or based on the relationship you have with the person, you just add the person's name without any contribution. I think ethically that is also not good. Or maybe on one paper, only 3 people contribute, and you go and add about 5 people's name, making it about 8 authors. Or 5 people contribute, and you go and add another 5, making it 10.
But you know, sometimes, sorry, I was just saying, you know, sometimes these papers, when you write them and you send them to these journals, those paid journals, and you can't fund the bill on your own, you have to look for help. Sometimes that is how you see the number of co-authors increasing. We split the bill.
But does it mean all those who contributed will be paying? Yes, what you are saying is important. Resource for the publication or research, I made mention of this earlier on. So before you start research, take note of the resource and time. Don't forget, I mentioned this. So determine that before you begin with the research. You should know the cost involved. That's why we write proposal. And in writing proposal, one element is the budget, true or false. So you should know how to fund your research. And do you do fundraising? At least 1 or 2 people should be in charge of the funding, but you go and write about 5 people's name. Rather, I think some of us do this, but ethically it's not good, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Let's be mindful. Some journals, they will not tell you. If you have too many authors on your list, they will reject the paper. But sometimes they will not tell you. It's a silent killer in rejection of paper. So let's take note of that. All right. Then we also have others should reflect the contribution level. Okay. So from the first toward the last. But usually most of us, our supervisors wish to take the last authorship. Based on this point, but doesn't mean they contributed less, but they are the supervisors, right? They give you the guidelines. And I don't know who has such experience from this particular point. Others should reflect the contribution level. So first author, second author in that. And even in OAD, I think we have a policy document on this. If we know,
I think here also it's like that, because some supervisors, it depends on your supervisor, really. Some only want only you and them on the paper, only 2 of you as the authors of those papers. You, the first author, and them, they are the co-author, and they are only the corresponding authors. You are only required to give them that role. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, others, they do not have problem if you add other teammates or other lab mates, because some of them might have helped you in maybe conducting the experiment or writing the paper. It's okay. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you can have about 5 authors, but the supervisor will be the last person. That's what I'm trying to say. You understand?
Okay. Yes.
And this point is saying others should reflect the contribution level. All right. Okay, but that one I think is just the agreement between you and the supervisor. And some supervisors, I think they also want to give their students the opportunity, because some of them, they're already professors, they have tens of publications, right? So some of them also want, at least they want to coach, they want to groom the young researchers. Right. But some also, they insist they must be the first. Some also they insist either they will be the second. So,
yes, it just depends, like you're saying. If they are as you said, professors, then they are really desperate for papers, for publication. So they don't joke.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Let's move on. So we have key section of a paper. Now let's look. So we also have abstracts. Okay. So that is the structure. Okay. What we need, the introduction, the methods, the results. Basically a concise summary of the whole research. So you realize that even open articles that are that can be accessed through subscription, even if you cannot get access to the paper, at least you can get access to the title of the paper, and you can get access to the abstract of the paper. But the entire paper, that is the paid, the subscription journals. For those ones, you will not get access to them unless it is open access journal where the authors pay for the publication fee, all right, or their funding institution pay for that. Okay, so for the abstract, if someone reads the abstract, so the abstract should stand alone. It should be a stand-alone element of your research. It should be the summary of your paper. So if I read your abstract, I should be able to know the introduction. At least it should reflect the introduction of your paper. It should reflect the methods, it should reflect the results. It should also reflect the discussion component of your research. So it is very important. Also, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is very important, okay? So most of us, our supervisors have a research funding. So in the acknowledgement section, we do acknowledge those sources of what? Funding. So it's very important. Acknowledgement is very important. And also other assistants, maybe other technical assistants. There are some people who also help you in your research. Perhaps you cannot add their names to the author list, but you can what? Acknowledge them. So for those who are inflating the author list, some of the names can come to the acknowledgement, okay? So this is at least another window for you to acknowledge others who at least they contributed, but maybe their contribution is not so significant. Then table of figures and a list of tables as well, okay? So most journals have instructions on all these, okay? Then references is very important, okay? And some journals have specific references to others too. They are not specific. You can use any standard citation and they are okay with that, okay? So referencing is important. Then electronic publishing and the internet. Well, journals now accept digital submission. That is okay. Emails, forums, and preprint have changed disseminations. That is true. Yes. Online publication offers wide and fast access. That is also true. Understand digital ethics and copyright. Okay. Anyone who has experience of publishing, you realize that after your manuscript has been accepted, okay, even before the proofreading, you'll be asked to sign some document. They call it, right of access also, all right? Okay, so how to use the paper after publication, who have the right, who own the right of the paper. So those things, whether it is open access, whether it is subscription, those stuff, so all are important. Now, yes, we have the traditional publication as one way to communicate or disseminate our research findings. However, we also have other media, okay, or other methods through which we can disseminate the result of our findings. Number one is through, the most common one is through conferences and seminars, just as we are having some discussions online like this. So some researchers also do oral presentation as well as poster presentations. Yeah, so this prepare clearly structured talks and visual aids, okay? Posters should be legible, visual, and informative. And also practice delivery. So if you are to present oral, what's the name? Present your research through either conference, and even if not even through conference, as a student or as a researcher, after conducting research, you need to also market your research. And how do you market your research? It is through attending conferences, okay? And I know OAD is preparing some of these conferences, and very soon, when everything is ready to be publicized, we shall all be involved, okay? So attending conferences and presenting the outcome of your research is very important, okay? One important element is also to know your audience. So now in all, when you consider or you put together the writing of scientific whatever, you know, you can describe it in this shape, okay, the hourglass shape, right? So you have the introduction that begins with a general overview, then you narrow down to the specifics of what indicated, and as well as the body, okay, or the core of your research, especially the results. The result is like the engine of your research, and it's very important. Then we also have the discussion. So the way you go about the discussion and conclusion is the opposite of the introduction. So with the introduction, you move from general to specific. But with the discussion of the results, you discuss your results specifically. Then the implication of your result, then you widen it. I hope you understand. So that's why we have this hourglass shape. So usually in our thesis, in our articles, this is the format of arranging various sections. Okay, so the conventional structure of our article or article writing is the MRAD. Okay, so there has been a revised form of this. So the revised form includes the abstract, which we said it serves as the head. You know, when you have or you take a passport picture, which only takes only your head and your neck, without showing other part of your body. Immediately I see the picture, I should be able to know, identify you. Oh, this is John, this is Evelyn, this is so and so. Because your face is the summary of your whole body. Okay. And now when you come to research article, all right, the abstract is similar to the head of us or human beings. Okay. Because it is the summary of everything you undertake. So the MRAD, which is the abbreviation for the abstract, introduction, materials and method, result and discussion, and its variations. So this is the conventional structure, okay? So as I already indicated, the introduction, you need to move from general to specific. Then you have the methods and the results, which from the main body. Then you have the discussion, which also moves from specific to what? To general. So one is you have induction and deduction, or you have the deductions and inductions. So this is also another structure, all right? So with this structure, we call it the add-on. So the add-on, you have the abstract, introduction, results, discussions, and methods and materials, all right? So there is a little bit variation compared to the first one. So generally, this structure is used in molecular biology research. Then we also have the MRAD-C structure. With this structure, it's also similar to the other one, but with little variation. Okay, so you have the abstracts, you have the introduction, you have the materials and methods, then you have a repeated result and discussion and conclusion. I hope you can see it. So this is the other structure. Now, let's take some case studies, okay? So now we want to look at various sections, okay, holistically. So as we said, the beginning part, we have the, using the MRAD structure, we have the abstracts, which is the A. Now, I just sampled 2 papers, but after this session, you can download as many papers you can to compare their, what is the name? Their abstract, okay? But basically, I have come across 2 different methods of writing the abstract. Sometimes it's also based on the requirement of the journal. So when you look at the first one, the one on your left, you can see that the abstract has been divided into various sections, okay? You have the background, you have the method, you have the result, you have the conclusion, which is followed by the keywords. But when you look at the one on your right-hand side, which is actually a paper I published, I think, a week ago. Yeah, so I am the first author there. So with this paper, you can see that the abstract is a collective, you understand? It has no subdivisions, even though you can still find the background, the methods, however, they have not been segregated or segmented in that order, okay? So it depends on the general requirements, whether you go by option A or by option B. Now we have the introduction. So as we indicated, the introduction covers the background, context, the research gap, and objective and hypothesis. Yeah, I know these writings may not be legible or clear, but I'm just displaying for you to see how some journals publish their methods, okay? So you can see that we have 2 columns here, and this one is just 1 column, okay? So the other paper, this is its introduction. one I said I published research, you see methodology, especially social science research. But in science and engineering, mostly you can see or you find the materials and methods. Okay, so it depends on the focus of your research. Okay, all right. So this section describes how the study was conducted. Enough detail for reproducibility or replicability is very important, as I indicated in the beginning. If I read your paper, or if I take your paper, based on whatever you report, I should be able to replicate your research in order to come out with at least similar outcome. But based on the methods you have elaborated, if I apply the same methods and I don't get similar results, then it means either I'm making a mistake or maybe you also made a mistake. But I've been thinking of this. Can anybody help me? When you look at various journals, they publish every year, thousands of articles are being published. So does someone get time to say, okay, let me take this paper, let me replicate it to see if I'll get this same outcome? Do some people undertake similar research? I've been thinking of this. I don't know, does someone have such experience? I just want to clear my doubts. Even though when you are conducting a research, you conduct literature review to know what has been done. But do you actually take one paper holistically to say, let me repeat it to see if I'll get the same outcome or not? Does someone have any experience in this? I hope I am audible.
Yes, you're audible. But I don't think that's going to work, because you know these journal houses, they have their tools they use to check.
Okay.
So even if they publish those works for a long time and you using exactly the same article, they will figure it out one way or the other.
No, I don't mean plagiarism. I mean you conducting your own research, but using the methods that has been reported by any other researcher in order to come out with similar findings. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to emphasize on the reproducibility or the replicability of the research.
Can I come in?
Yeah, please, Mr. Suleiman. Yeah, you can come.
I think like some researchers do it. For example, they normally call it like external validation. And sometimes like that's where they find out that like most papers are fake, you know, like when they try to like reproduce it using the same data, especially like in physics, there was lots of scandals about that people like they cook their data and then when somebody tries to reproduce it, then they feel like, bro, this is not working.
I think some time ago I heard news of some papers being retracted for similar unethical activity so far as publications are concerned. All right, thank you. So that was just by the way. So the methodology also includes materials, design, and statistical tools, okay? You know, you need to statistically analyze your data, okay? So tools for your statistical analysis equally need to be reported under the methods section or the materials and methods. Then let's go to the results, okay? So the results should present findings clearly, okay? With tables and graphs and what have you. So usually some papers will require that you combine the results and discussion. And some also will require that you segregate them, results separately and discussions separately. All right. So those who go by the separation, usually the results aspects only present the findings without detailed interpretations, just the facts and the evidence of what was found. But those, and on the same hand, if you are presenting on separate result and separate discussion, then the discussion also involves interpretation of the result, comparing it with previous studies, highlighting the significance and the limitation. However, when it is combined, when the result and discussions are combined, then you equally combine this particular element. So I just screenshot the result section of the first paper and the second paper too. This is the result aspect. At least to just depict that, and you can see a lot of this. It is very important. You need to define the implication of your findings. And references is also important. Okay, as I indicated earlier, some journals have specific referencing method. Okay, whether you use Mendeley, whether you use EndNote, Zotero, or where have you. Okay, you can choose the referencing style. So most common is the APA. We have the IEE, among others. But make sure that your conclusion and references are part of your paper. Okay, so we are left with the last part. How many minutes do we have? Okay, we have almost 30 minutes more. Let's take some 2-3 minute break. As we take the break, let's brainstorm a little on what we have just discussed. If there's any contribution, questions, additions, or subtraction, then we take it in the next 2-3 minutes before we go to the last session.
Are you ready for the question? We actually have 2 pending questions here.
Come again?
We have 2 pending questions, and Daniel asked.
Okay, where are the questions?
And
yeah, let's take them.
Yeah, he was trying to ask, how can interdisciplinary approach enhance exploratory research?
Is it in the chat box?
Yeah, in the chat box.
Okay.
Let me find it.
I've seen it. How can interdisciplinary approach enhance exploratory research? All right. You see, in conducting research, when you come to any section that you pick, whether identification of the problem, when you come to the designing of the research, when you come to data collection, when you come to data interpretation, most often you can find different methods, okay? So sometimes some scientists or researchers will advise you that sometimes it's good you pick 1 or 2 methods or what's the name? Procedures, okay? That befits whatever research you are doing, all right? But I will say that it depends on the type of research you are conducting, because this question I think is somehow generic, okay? I wouldn't know unless maybe I'm able to know the specific research that a person want to conduct, okay? Because if you are conducting an exploratory research, in which field are you conducting? I hope you understand. And every field has its approach. I hope you understand it. If you are in molecular biology, I think they have their own research approaches, all right? If you are in, let's say, pharmaceutical engineering, they also have their own approaches. If you are in environmental science and engineering, if you are in mechanical engineering, if you are in automotive, you understand. So my advice is that you have to choose what suits the research you are conducting. And how will you know that? You can best know this through proper literature review, so that you know that similar researchers, okay, what method or which procedure did they apply? Okay, which interdisciplinary procedure did they apply in conducting their research? I think that can give you a clue, because when you are reviewing literature, you do not review only the findings of the research. You equally review the methods or the methodology that have been used to conduct the research. Then among these methodologies that have been applied to conduct research on the topic you are intending to use, then you choose those that are applicable to what you intend, or you choose those you think can help you to arrive at the objective of your paper. So that is my response to this particular question. Then we have another question. How can exploratory findings be used to design to follow up studies? How can exploratory, hey, today most questions are on exploratory research. I think we have to get a specific session for exploratory research. I spoke, but with respect to this one, how can exploratory findings be used to design and follow up studies? Equally, just as I answered the other one, it depends on the research you are conducting. I hope you understand. Yeah, it will depend on the field, number one, on the field you are conducting the research. It also depends on the topic you are conducting. That is my field. The physical, we have the chemical, and we also have the biological. And if you pick each of them, they equally have a lot of methods under them. If you pick biological, we have a lot. If you pick physical, we have a lot. I hope you understand. But sometimes in my experiment, sometimes I can combine one or two of them. Those I think will be applicable and can help me achieve the results I want. I hope you understand. So I will equally say that it still depends on your research. But if someone has better experience on this, maybe the person can also give us his or her contribution on this. We have Kemo Seydou Sese from Shanghai University. Okay, that's fine. For those of who that are yet to send your names, please state your names and where you are. Okay.
And you can go down. There is a question from Idris Akoroma. The extreme end, how can innovation be measured in a PhD thesis research work?
Okay, how can innovation be measured in how can innovation be measured in a PhD thesis research work? Wow, that is an interesting question. Now, when you are writing your research or your scientific paper, one thing you should look out for is the issue of innovation, and I think we shall be addressing this in our next subsection. Because if one reads your paper, when a peer reviewer reads your paper and he or she does not find any creativity or innovation of your paper, it's one of the major reasons for rejection of most papers. So far, I have also received several rejections of papers from various journals. And I would say more than 50% of them, the reason they will give you for the rejection, they will tell you lack of novelty. Okay? So, number one, before you write the proposal, if it is your PhD or master thesis, number one, before choosing the topic, the first element you should bear in mind is how innovative is your work. All right? And you can find this by also doing proper literature review. Okay, so the innovation in it should be able to address your research gap. All right, so the gap is, so that is where the novelty comes in. If you have not been able to systematically observe or identify the research gap, then how will you be able to bring out the creativity in order to bridge that research? I hope you understand. So number one, you need to do proper literature review, whether systematic review or through bibliometric analysis or through meta-analysis. In OAD, we have a research group which is known as the Agric Research Group, which I am part of. Recently, we conducted literature review on, what's the name? We specifically did bibliometric analysis. And even currently, one paper is under review from that study we did. And currently we are also aiming to come out with another paper on meta-analysis. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes through some of these research groups, we learn some of these techniques. All right. I have to be frank. Initially, I didn't know how to do geometric analysis, but through some of these research groups, through OA, I have been able to learn a lot. Okay. So I would advise that you do proper literature review, whether through bibliometric or meta-analysis or any other literature review you can do. This will help you to come out with the research gap. And through the research gap, you can come out with the innovation, whether for your thesis or for your article or whatever, because the innovation aspect is very important, which is the novelty. All right. Hello, sir. When publishing a paper, is there any specific number of pages that are required? That also depends. So number one, I think some of these questions, they will be addressed in our subsequent sections, okay? The next topic, I think we'll address this. But in all, it depends on the journal you are submitting. Now, I'll give you one advice. If you are preparing your manuscript for submission, go to the journal website. They have guide for authors. Go there. And the guide for authors, the journal specify the number of words for each, whether review article or for research article, they specify the number of words. Usually the number of words for research article is less than that of a review. The number of words, they will tell you the references are excluded. The abstract is excluded. Usually most of the journals, and they will not give specific page, all right? Because people also use different font size. And of course, others also specify the font size you should use. But my experience is that most often they just give you a limit to the number of words. Sometimes the high impact factor journals, usually they give less number of words. Between 6,000 to 8,000, some around 600, 6,500, 7,000, okay? And usually when you check, this should not be more than 30 pages of a manuscript, okay? But it also depends on your paper. But my advice is that before you even start the write-up, go to the journal. Actually get 3 journals that you want to, or you intend to submit your article to. Then you look at their requirement. That can guide you in your write-up. Okay. I hope that's all for now. So let's go to the next session.
Okay, you can go to the next session, then we come back to it. There is one.
No problem, yes.
We can go.
Yes, we'll come back to that. All right. So now the question is, we have gone through what research is. We have gone through scientific writing and what have you. We have looked at the structure of manuscript from head to toe, from the abstracts, from the coming to the introductions, the materials and methods. You come to the result and discussion. You come to conclusion. You come to reference. Now the question is, you have conducted your own research. You have come out with your results. You have written your manuscript, okay? You've submitted it to the journal, okay? Why should they reject it? Who has some experience of the rejection, and what was the main reason for the rejection? Who can tell us? Have you ever experienced? Can you tell us your experience?
Yeah, my first paper got rejected 7 times. I think my paper was too good for their small journal. I should have looked for bigger journals.
Your paper was too good for the journal. That's wonderful. I see. Okay. Is there any other reason for rejection of papers? And how do you feel? Let me ask this question. How do you feel when you get the rejection? Sometimes you get tabletop rejection. Do you know tabletop rejection? You submit a paper in less than 24 hours, you get rejection.
You get rejection,
They'll
yeah.
be like, thank you for submitting your paper. We really appreciate your effort. However, I am sorry. Some of the
Yeah. That is so disheartening.
So if I submit a paper within 24 hours and I see the first sentence is, thank you for submitting, oh, I know it's a rejection. They will begin with, thank you for rejection. By the time you go to the next sentence, sorry for, be like, hey. Okay, so let's go through some reasons why some papers are being rejected. Now we have the top reasons, okay? There are other reasons, but these are the major ones. I hope you can see my screen and I am audible concurrently.
Yes, yes.
All right. Now, the first reason is poor methodology. And I will tell you that the reasons for rejection is based on your manuscript preparation. It's like you are preparing food. The taste of the food, okay, it begins from, number one, the quality of raw materials you use in preparing the food, isn't it? I know most of us here do cook, so you know what I'm talking about. And it does not also end there. How you prepare the food, the process of preparing the food, how you mix the ingredients also counts, right? The same thing with your manuscript. So see your manuscript to be the food you have prepared. It is the end product of your research and experiment. Okay? So the methodology, poor methodology can contribute to rejection. Lack of novelty. Someone was asking of innovation. That is the novelty. Incomplete literature review. I also emphasize on it. Language and formatting issue. One by one. So let's begin with methodological flaws. Now, a well-designed research or study must clearly describe how the research was conducted. You see? Yes, I know how to prepare pizza. Conducted the research, all right? That's why you should know what scientific writing is and how it is conducted. If you don't know, like you might think the way you used to write essay in secondary school, that's how to report the research. No, the language of research is different. That's why when you are writing a research paper, we have the keywords, right? The language. If I take a manuscript that has been published in the field of mechanical engineering, the vocabulary, the semantics that is being used in there is different from when I take a journal in, let's say, wastewater or environmental science and engineering, right? So it is important you know about all this. So if your methodology is poorly structured, it can lead to rejection, okay? So poor methodology. So what is poor methodology? What constitutes poor methodology? Now let's look at the following. Now, number one, unclear or missing description of experimental design. So you, for example, in wastewater treatment, some of the parameters we check include maybe turbidity, BOD, COD, among others, okay? Then you have to report the methodology you use in analyzing your BOD or COD. You know, the methodology, the experimental design is unclear, you understand? So if such thing occurs, it can lead to the rejection. Inadequate sample size. Imagine you are conducting a research to assess the level of heavy metal contamination of underground water, that is boreholes, to assess the level of turbidity or, let's say, heavy metal concentration. And in that community you are conducting research, let's take it, there are about 250 boreholes in that community. And you just select 5 You just sample water from just 5 of these boreholes and analyze and wrote your relevant. Now let me ask the question. These 5 samples you took out of the total of 250 boreholes within that locality, will these 5 samples be enough? Will it be representative of the what's the name? The heavy metal concentration of underground water of the whole geographical area? And who will help us? Who will help us on this? Will it be representative? Will it be adequate? So you see that. Is someone talking? So you realize that this, yes, so that is it. So clearly 5 out of 250, I'm not sure it will be enough. So when you write your paper, if any peer reviewer goes through your research and sees that, the person will reject your paper straightforward, because it is not enough. The sample size is too small. Lack of control variables. I'm using, those of who are not in environmental, please pardon me. I'm just using my field for example so that everything will be easy for me. I don't know your fields, but I hope my examples are well understood. Okay? And lack of control variables. You need to have a control variable. And in experimental research, those of us who conduct experiments, you know that you should have the test variable, okay? And you should also have the control so that you can compare, okay? You can compare to see the efficiency of your intervention or the method you are using. Then poor statistical analysis, okay? ANOVA, you didn't analyze, no correlation analysis, ANOVA, nothing, there's no any statistical, what's the name? Analysis to kind of measure the variations, the variance in your data set. This can also lead to rejection. No justification for choosing method. You choose a particular method and you didn't justify it. So please take note. Any method you choose, okay, you should be able to justify it. All right. This weakens the validity and reliability of your result and conclusion, making the paper honest. If the methodology is weak, from the structure I showed you, the other sections are built on the methodology. That's the results and discussion, as well as the conclusion. They are all built on the methodology. And therefore, if there are flaws within the methodology, it means everything is what? Will be washed down. Okay. Claiming a treatment is effective testing, it can lead to rejection. Now let's go to the next major reason why most papers are being rejected: lack of novelty. Why is my good friend who asked about the innovation and novelty? So now look at this. Journals seek original work that advances knowledge in the field. Okay, so take notes of this. New knowledge. What contribution is your paper bringing to the scientific world? What is the novelty? What is the innovative point of your work? Is very important. What gap are you trying to fill with your research? So number one, the study should replicate existing work without new insights. So this shows there's no novelty. The topic is too narrow or outdated. It doesn't contribute to novelty. The results confirm known facts without innovation. Okay, you've conducted research, all right. Okay, you have been able to report a particular finding, but that is general. Everybody knows that. Okay, so you did not go beyond what has been known. Don't forget, when you are doing literature review, you try to know what has been done and what has not been done. So if your results or your finding is all about what has been done, it means you have not reported what has not been done. Therefore, no novelty, nothing new, and it could lead to rejection of your work. And another thing, look for clear research gap, and significant contribution. So these are the key or secrets that reviewers use in assessing various articles. Clear research gap. Start your introduction with the problem gap your study addresses. Sometimes the beginning of your introduction, okay, is able to tell the reviewer whether your paper has novelty or not. Don't forget the introduction also includes the literature review aspect. Okay, good. Now let's look at the next point, which is incomplete literature review. We have a few minutes more. Let me discuss a little. As I indicated, literature review is important. Therefore, the literature review, as we all know, should demonstrate, sorry, I'm coming. Yes, so it should demonstrate awareness of relevant current research. It should also position your study in the existing field, and it should show how your work fills a research gap. I just explained this, okay? So what are the major problems that most researchers face? So a weak or outdated review suggests the author is not fully engaged with the academic conversation. And don't forget, the literature review helps you to get the theoretical framework, okay, the theoretical underpinnings of your research. And don't forget the introduction aspect, which also includes the literature review of your work, sets the tone for the whole research. So these are some of the common mistakes people do commit so far as the literature review section is concerned. Number one, citing too few or irrelevant sources, or also citing too old. Some research, you go and see 19 code ho. When the person is discussed recently, I faced that. In one of the review comments, I was told some of the references were too old. I have to go and change them to cite new or most recent articles. Yeah. And also ignoring opposing findings, okay? Maybe you have your hypothesis and some of the findings you came along, they were not supporting your hypothesis and you ignore them. This can lead to rejection of your paper and not identify a clear gap. You are not able to identify a clear gap, okay? That can also contribute to the rejection. Then we also have language and formatting issues, okay? So clear professional writing is essential. Common issues include poor grammar, awkward sentence structure, also non-standard formatting, missing figure captions, ignoring general guidelines. As I said earlier on, before you start your research, and you move to the guide for authors, you see everything from the topic, from abstracts, introduction, to the conclusion references. How they will require you to include the tables and figures in the manuscript. Some will require you to attach them separately. All of also have specific number of tables. Some also require you to also include that is if you have more figures and tables, all right? So it is good we know about all this. Even with good science language, problems can obscure your message, frustrate reviewers, and suggest lack of attention to details, all right? So how can we resolve this? Number one, use tools like Grammarly, okay? That can help you at least as a collect for proofreading, okay? After writing, that's why some of the co-authors, at least, some are good in English grammar, right? Yeah, so some of them can do the proofreading for you. Follow the journal's author guideline. Exactly, I think I've just mentioned it. Then the last but not the least, weak discussion and ethical pitfalls. This can also lead to the rejection of your manuscript. So this include unclear interpretation. You know, some people are not able. Hello, is someone talking? I think I'll be finishing in the next few minutes. Yeah, so unclear interpretation. Some are able to conduct a very good research, okay? However, when it comes to writing, they are very poor in writing, okay? They are not able to interpret their result properly. So this can also lead to rejection of paper. Some people too are very good in the writing. Their English or their grammar is very good. With the little research they conduct, they are able to write. If a reviewer picks that paper, the person will be like, wow, which professor wrote this particular paper? I hope you understand. So you have to make sure that your interpretations are clear. No context to previous studies, all right? This could also lead to rejection of your paper, all right? When you are discussing your results, you should link it with previous research, as I indicated earlier on. You need to compare the outcome of your research with previous findings, okay? You need to also back your findings with the previous studies. It's important. And also plagiarism. And it is a major problem these days. Most people, and my advice is this, please, after conducting a research, never submit the paper to a journal without checking the plagiarism, okay? So this will be my advice, okay? So you need to get someone who has a plagiarism checker, either Turnitin, or there is also another one, Authenticate also. There are a lot, but these are the most popular ones. In any case, try to check the plagiarism. If not, if the plagiarism is, and the plagiarism should be at least less than 20%. And even for your thesis or other writer, at least it should be less than 20%. And don't forget, it can also not be zero. Because at least there will be some keywords and some technical terms that you cannot forgo so far as the research is concerned. Yeah, but at least it should be minimal. And also data manipulation. I think we mentioned this some minutes ago. Yeah, if you manipulate the data, you did not conduct proper research and you just cook your data, all this can lead to the rejection of your paper. Incomplete author contribution, all this can lead to the rejection of your paper. So, in all, these are the major reasons why your manuscripts can be rejected. If you have poor methodology, if you don't discuss the results properly, if you have ethical pitfalls, all this can lead to the rejection of your manuscript. So at this juncture, I know this session or our seminar is 2 days. So tomorrow we shall continue with choosing the right journal for a scientific paper, all right? Yeah, so now we now know what research is. We've looked at how to conduct the research. We have looked at the structure of a scientific paper and how to avoid rejection. Now the last part is how to choose the right journal. And I'm sure tomorrow the president of OAD, in the person of Dr. Odi, will take us through this important session. And I think that will bring us to the end of this particular workshop, if I may call it so. So at this juncture, I'll pause and we'll take a few questions then.
Yes, Dr. Ose, there is a question already in the chat. Just after the last question you answered before continuing the last session, I don't know if you can find it from James Kambakonte. What differentiated a scientific paper from other research papers? Because we can
okay.
Yeah.
So what differentiates a scientific paper from a research paper, specifically like dissertation and publication? All right. So to answer this question, let me just show you this particular slide. Where is it? Few seconds, I'm coming. All right, good. This particular, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Good. So we say, what is a scientific paper? So it is a report of original research, a result published in a peer-reviewed journal, must follow replication, validity, and what have you. You see, so basically this is a scientific paper, irrespective of the field of study, all right? But when we talk of scientific paper, basically or conventionally, it refers to experimental research, if I may put it that way. Okay, but that is not to say social science research is not a scientific paper. But I mean, usually when you look at, when we talk about scientific write-up, okay, yes. But irrespective of the type of research you undertake, okay, if the structure follows the scientific methods, that is introduction, result and method, and what I think you remember what we discussed so far as research is concerned. So the main difference between you writing for publication and you writing for what's the name? You writing your thesis is this. When it comes to thesis, it's similar to the research paper. All right, because some universities, like let me take myself as an example. My PhD thesis, I had about 6 or 7 chapters, okay? And each chapter is a paper on its own. I hope you understand. Each paper has its own introduction. Each chapter has its own introduction, its materials and methods, its results and discussions and conclusion and references. That's how I structured my thesis, and most of my colleagues also followed the same format. Sometimes it depends, or there's variation from one school to the other. It depends on the requirement of your school or your department. Sometimes even in the same school, but maybe the requirement or the structure of your thesis may differ from one department to the other. For example, maybe I am in environmental science and engineering. Someone may be in automotive, someone may be in food science, someone may be in pharmacy, someone may be in medicine, someone may be in library studies. You understand? So even though generally the general requirement is the same, but sometimes there is some differences, some details based on the department that you are. Okay, so when it comes to conducting the research, I think there's no difference in conducting the research. The difference between your thesis and your publication is just number one, the volume and the structure. Because for thesis, you need to add a whole lot of things. I hope you understand. Because you use the results that you get from your research to write the paper. Okay, so some people, if you want everything to be easy for you, you just put your publications together to give you the thesis. So writing an article, so an article is like a subset of the general thesis. I hope you understand, because the thesis title entails a lot, and usually you will have objectives. So usually people take each objective and write a paper on its own. Yes. Then after writing or publishing those papers, you now put those papers together to make up your thesis. And thesis based on the then well, is there any other question? Hello, are you getting me?
Yeah, and there's a question also. Check on the chat box. The last.
Okay, which aspect of the research is best for novelty in research paper? Methodology or what? When it's come to novelty, as I indicated, number one, what is the purpose of your research? I hope you understand. Some people are able to conduct research and their research reports new methods or new methodology. I hope you understand. Yes, so number one, ask yourself, what is the purpose or what is the objective of that particular paper that you are writing? Okay, so the method or the objective of the paper should be able to, and also there should be alignment, okay? There should be alignment between the objective of your paper and the problem you identify. In other words, the research gap, okay? So more or less, so perhaps let's take my field, for example. You are conducting research and maybe the research gap is that there has been several methods which have been applied to treat wastewater, okay? However, most of these methods are costly and some are kind of ineffective and some take longer time or duration in order to complete the treatment process. And you want to come out with another technique of wastewater treatment that will be cost effective and also that can be done within a shorter period. And also such method is what? Environmentally what? Friendly. It means if you are stating your objective should be in line with this particular gap that you have found. Because according to your gap, okay, the existing methods, they take more time and maybe the cost is high. So indirectly, you want to come out with a new innovation that takes less time, okay, that is shorter duration and what? Lower cost. So your objective should be in line with this, okay? So this is where your innovation also what? Comes in. What it means is that the method or your contribution, the method that you want to come out with, okay, it is currently not seen in existing what? Literature. So that makes it new. So novelty can come from your methods, okay? It doesn't matter about, because every research has all these components, just like human being. Everybody has head, legs, stomach, and whatever. So the focus of your findings could be on maybe particular the methodology aspects, okay? Maybe, you know, we have protocols for analyzing various parameters like BOD, COD, pH, among others, okay? Someone can come out with a specific method on how to analyze a particular parameter, and it is an innovation. I hope you understand. Perhaps the person's research is not on maybe the treatment, but his or her research is on innovative way of analyzing that particular, what's the name, technique or that particular parameter. And in some journals, I think they call it the method X or so. I think some journals have a dedicated session or submission system for such method. And when you are reporting a new method, okay? So in all method, the novelty can be found in any aspect of the research you are conducting or you want to conduct. But most importantly, you need to do proper literature review to identify the gap. When you identify the gap could be in. So we have different types of what's the name? Gap. So it could be in the methodology, it could be in various sections. I hope you understand. Yeah. So this is the little I can say on that. I don't know if someone has better experience on it. I think that's the last question, right?
Yeah, that's the last question.
Moderator.
Is there any question?
So what is next now? Is it group picture or that will be tomorrow? Or do you still have any other announcement for the members or
Yeah, and
the participants?
we have actually noted down the information. Tomorrow, after doing the training tomorrow, just ask for them to share their email address. I think at this point, coming to the end, I would like to, on behalf of the Sierra Leone Student Union in China, I would like to say a very big thank you to you for this particular training. And it has been a learning curve, I believe, for each and every one of us. And some of the materials you have shared here will help each and every one of us in our academic endeavor. So once again, Dr. Mansour Hussein has a PhD in environmental science and engineering, and he is the Assistant Director of Research of OAD Global. And please, for the participants, please be mindful that this is a 2 days training, and tomorrow will be the second and final day, and we'll be having the corporate strategist and president of OAD Global, who is Dr. Elijah C. Ode. And let us actually join on time so that we'll be able to continue the training. And we also look forward for more training. There are more coming up, especially in data analysis, using tools like Stata and R and perhaps MathPLS and others. We wish you the very best in your academic pursuits, wherever you are. And I want us all to give a very big thank you. You can use the chat box to say a very big thank you to Dr. Mansour Hussein. So Dr. Mansour Hussein, I don't know if you have any final words before we close.
Oh yeah, I think in the first place, when I heard about Sierra Leonean Student Association, I was like, Sierra Leoneans are my neighbors, because I'm also from Ghana, and you know, in West Africa, you know, we share common exams platform or education structure. That is Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, and I think Sierra Leone, right? We all write the WASI and I think the BEC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, and also be part of OAD, you know, as I indicated, OAD is a family of PhD holders and all students from Africa, whether you are in Africa or you are wherever you find yourself. So I see myself to be part of you, okay? Because you are my neighbor. Yeah, so I think that I'm happy to be part of you. And as I indicated, don't think I know better than you. Also, don't think that maybe I am someone super expert. No, we are all learning. Just that I've had the opportunity to share my little knowledge and experience with you. So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for joining. And I hope to see you tomorrow too, so that we can finalize everything tomorrow. So thank you for the opportunity. But I think I just saw a question. Someone said he or she want to join the research group for agriculture. Yeah, so I will contact the coordinator. All the research groups have coordinators here. So I'll get the contact of the coordinator, then share it with, I don't know, what your secretary, moderator, you're the secretary, right? So I'll share it with you.
Yes,
Then
Doc.
your members, yeah, so I'll share it with you. I'll speak with the president. We will share the link. So those who want to join OAD or those who want to join the, what's the name? The research group for agric. We also have other research groups, okay? So if you are interested to join any research group, you can maybe mention your field of study to your executives and they will contact us, then we can appropriately add you to various research groups. And
yeah, Dr. Masu.
Yes.
Sorry, I shared my WeChat ID because I'm on the agric research group, so they can, if they connect with me, I can add them there.
All right. Okay. I think Dr. Odi has made it simple for us. He has just shared his WeChat ID. I think linking up for growth. Yes, that's the WeChat ID. So if you want to join OAD, you want to join any research group, kindly contact our president, and I'll tell you one secret thing about our president. He's highly connected. Yes.
T-shirts. You want t-shirts?
So through OAD, I have learned a lot this opportunity. Yes, because if you are in your own corner, you are there alone. But when you link up with your fellow Africans, wherever they are, you're able to share opportunities. You go with extra experience, your supervisor. But true, OAD is a family of scholars, irrespective of your field. I will encourage you to join a research group based on your field of study. And sometimes if it's not your field of study and you have interest, just join. And also, you have to also join our various social media. Sometimes we post opportunities. We organize workshops for free, okay? We host through OAD, several institutions in Africa have also had the opportunity to benefit from Chinese universities. OAD has facilitated some collaboration between some universities in Africa. So there has been some collaborations from Namibia, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, among other countries. So perhaps you can also be the ambassador of OAD. So far as your country is concerned, you can send something from China, not only China, but through the network of OAD, you can bargain something for people to benefit, which as an individual you couldn't have, but through OAD you can do that. And as I said, the student from Sierra Leone, I am a Ghanaian, we are part of you, okay? So I see you to be my family members. So thank you for the opportunity once again, and thank you everyone.
Thank you very much, Doc. And thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to have you again tomorrow. And please join on time. So we end our training here today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.